Thanks, George. All right, the big question in New Jersey as Governor-elect Phil Murphy gets set to take office in January is whether he'll be able to make good on his campaign promise to make recreational use of marijuana legal across the board. He's already fighting some resistance from the Democrats and the Republicans. Some members of the state Senate saying, hold on, Governor-elect, not so fast. Now some council members in the city of Linden pushing back, saying, we got a lot of questions first. Ashley Johnson has the full story. Ashley, what do you got for us?
New Jersey Governor-elect Bill Murphy hasn't said much since the election about his campaign promise to legalize recreational marijuana in his first 100 days in office. But fellow Democrats are speaking out on a number of concerns. 2 weeks ago, I spoke with longtime state senator Ron Rice in Newark, who said there needs to be more research on the effects recreational marijuana has had in places where it is legal. Linden Councilman Peter Brown shares those concerns.
While a lot of people have been talking about the revenue that's coming in, the potential revenue, no one's talked about the expense side that's going to be happening. No one's talked about the increase in homelessness that some cities have seen. No one's talked about some of the social issues that have been caused as a result of this.
Brown heads a recently formed city committee that evaluates the social, economic, and quality of life impact legalizing marijuana would have on Linden. His biggest concerns are public health and law enforcement.
Big crime issue that we're dealing with here in Linden, when I speak to my judge and to the court, is the heavy drugs such as heroin and opiates. That is the issue that should be addressed.
Murphy expects to raise $300 million in sales tax revenue from legalizing marijuana. Under the current bill, towns and cities would receive 1% from sales tax revenue the first year and 3% a year thereafter. Brown says 3% for Linden would bring in $100,000 a year.
So $100,000 doesn't even pay for the cost of a police officer who's been on the force for 10 years. And if you looked at some of their data have suggested that the number of accidents have increased.
Linden City Council can't override state law, but City Council members can create an ordinance regulating where marijuana can be sold in the city. In Linden, I'm Ashley Johnson, reporting for Chasing News.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, let's bring back our A-plus panel to break this down. Laura, let me start with you. This seems to me that I realize they're just asking questions, but here's a guy, Phil Murphy, that got elected, and this was one of the big three. The millionaire's tax, the minimum wage, and legalizing pot. Seems like there's no way this gets done in 100 days.
It's going to be a tough fight, but I'm from Newark, and I'm really excited about this being becoming law in a place like Newark, so we can let go of petty, inconsequential arrests that disparately impact people of color, and maybe they won't get arrested for something else, but at least not for small amounts of weed.
So let me ask you about Newark, though. In that context, I mean, you've got a police director, a public safety director, Anthony Ambrose, and a mayor, Ross Baraka, who have really lowered the crime rate, but they've done it by arresting people for petty and small crimes. I mean, these quality of life arrests, you could argue that's working.
Well, I think there's more police on the street. That's what's really working, and I think people are feeling safer downtown, and so I think that's what's working.
Bill, has Phil Murphy really figured out what his message is on this? I mean, he started on social justice. Actually, he started on revenue, and then the revenue was only about $300 million, not enough. Then social justice, but some of the stats published by the Colorado Department of Public Safety saying actually arrests among minorities are up.
Bill, it's all of it, and I think we've talked about this. I've been advocating on this for many, many years. And I think that I found in my conversations when you talk about legalization, you need to do a couple things. Debunking reefer madness for years that we're learning. I mean, there's medicinal applications and all the framework that's gone around it. But the other important thing is it's okay to talk about the revenue. There are some folks that are going to be intrigued by that. There's people that aren't going to be impacted by cannabis, but may be impacted by having a young person working in the economy.
How credible is the opposition from Ron Rice? I mean, Linden is just asking about it, but Ron Rice is pushing back.
Ron Rice is onto it. I think Senator Panaccio, this is the time in the legislature to have this debate. This is the time in the town council meetings to have these discussions. Let's get this right, but let's not pass up this opportunity. Okay. And Phil Murphy's going about it exactly right. He's allowing the process to take shape in the public. He's allowing the process to take shape in the legislature. We're going to see what's going to happen next year in January.
All right. Good for Newark or bad for Newark?
I think it's great for Newark, and I just would like to say I would like to volunteer to be on this study group, whatever it's going to happen. I don't know how deep they're going to go with the studying of the impacts, but I'm going to volunteer.
Noted. Thank you, Lauren. Good to have you on the show. Good to have you here. Bill, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Bill.
Great.